My brother lied about having cancer, so I'd give him my inheritance. He said he had 6 months to live. I emptied my savings. Months later, I caught him in Vegas with a new car and zero chemo. I never imagined betrayal could wear the face of someone you love, someone you grew up with, someone you once shared a bunk bed with, whispering secrets and laughter past bedtime. My name's Rachel. I'm 35, a librarian in a small coastal town in Oregon. And this is the story of how my only brother Adam faked cancer to steal everything I had left. Growing up, we weren't rich. Mom worked double shifts as a waitress, and Dad passed when I was 9. That left Adam to be the man of the house. A title he wore with pride, even if it meant little more than yelling at me not to touch his comic books. We had our ups and downs. But after Mom died of ovarian cancer 3 years ago, it was just the two of us. Or so I thought. I was the executor of her will, which wasn't much. An old house, some savings, and one final gift. The joint inheritance account she set up for us both. Equal shares. $126,000 total. That was it. Our whole family legacy. Adam showed up one night, maybe 6 months after the funeral, looking pale and broken. I still remember it clearly, the sound of rain, the smell of cheap beer on his coat, and the tremble in his voice. Rach, I have something to tell you. I've been diagnosed, stage 4 pancreatic. They say, it's bad. The room froze. My breath left my body. He cried. I cried. We sat on the couch for hours, clinging to each other like kids again. He said he didn't want anyone to know, that he didn't want pity, just support, just time. Then he said he couldn't afford treatment. His insurance lapsed. And, like a reflex, I offered what Mom left us. Take my half, I told him. It's just money. He protested, briefly, then nodded. That night, I transferred $63,000 from our joint account into his name, and over the next few months, I watched him grow thinner, quieter, more distant. He said the treatments were brutal, that he was exhausted, that he didn't want visitors. I sent food, books, love. I told him to fight, and I told myself, over and over, I'm doing the right thing. He's my brother. Until one afternoon, I stopped by to drop off a care package. He didn't answer the door, but I heard music inside, and laughter, and a second voice, a woman's. When I peeked through the window, I saw him, shirtless, tanned, lifting weights in his living room, with some girl in leggings perched on his couch, scrolling her phone. There was no IV, no chemo, no signs of sickness. Just a man who looked healthier than I'd ever seen him. I didn't knock. I drove away. Heart racing, mind spinning. Because either he was the greatest miracle case the world had ever seen, or I was being played by my own blood. I didn't confront him that day. I drove around the block 3 times, heart pounding, palms sweating, trying to decide whether I was crazy or betrayed. What if he was in remission? What if the woman inside was a nurse? What if I was being paranoid? But then, why would he lie about visitors? Why hide something as joyful as recovery? I told myself to wait, to be sure. I needed more than a glance through a window. I needed proof, not just for me, but for the part of me that still wanted to believe him. That night, I called and asked how he was feeling. He answered in a groggy voice, said he'd just finished a round of chemo and felt like hell. Haven't eaten in 2 days, he whispered. Can't even keep water down. I closed my eyes and clenched my fist. He had been eating pizza 2 hours ago. I'd seen the damn box on the table. Still, I didn't say anything. Not yet. Over the next week, I started noticing little cracks in his story. He said he couldn't drive anymore, but I saw his car parked outside the gym. He said he was too tired to stand, but someone tagged him dancing at a bar on a friend's Instagram story. He wasn't even in the background. He was front and center, shot glass in hand. When I confronted him about the post, he brushed it off. It was an old video, just resurfaced. You know how the internet is. I nodded, smiled, but inside, my stomach turned to lead. Then, I remembered something. The receipts. When Mom died, she told me to keep every paper trail, every financial record. So I had access to our family accountant, the one who'd been handling the inheritance account. I called him, asked if Adam had submitted any documentation for medical expenses. There was a pause. Actually, he said, he submitted one claim. Just one, for a consultation. No treatments, no ongoing care. The rest of the money, it's been withdrawn in chunks. Travel, electronics, jewelry, online transfers. Do you want a copy? My hand shook as I clicked open the PDF in my inbox later that night. There it was, line after line of selfish indulgence. A MacBook, 2 first-class plane tickets to Miami, charges to high-end restaurants, a $3,500 gift to someone named Lila, and not 1 cent, not one, to any cancer center, hospital, or pharmacy. My vision blurred. I wasn't just betrayed, I was robbed, but the worst part? I still didn't want to believe it. That's how deep blood runs, how blinding love can be. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I called our childhood friend, Mark, who happened to be a nurse at the local oncology center. I asked a simple question. Has Adam ever been registered there? Mark hesitated. I'm not supposed to say. Please, I said. Just yes or no. Another pause. Then, no. Never. I hung up, and in that moment, everything, every denial, every lie, every fake cough and faked fatigue snapped into place. He was never sick, he never had cancer, and I was going to make sure the whole world knew. The rage came in waves. 1 minute I was shaking, furious enough to scream into pillows and punch the air. The next, I was hollow, like someone had scooped the warmth out of my body. This wasn't just about money, this was about trust, about blood, about how far someone would go when they know you love them unconditionally. I didn't sleep that night. I paced my apartment, replaying every conversation, every "I'm sorry, sis," every fake wince of pain, every text where he said, "I don't think I'll make it to Christmas." How do you fake dying? How do you say those words to your own sister and sleep peacefully afterward? I couldn't confront him over the phone. I needed to see his eyes. I needed him to feel what he made me feel. Confusion, shame, and gut-twisting betrayal. So I planned a visit. I called ahead and told him I wanted to stop by. Just to talk, I said. Maybe bring you soup. He hesitated, probably scrambling for a reason to say no. But finally agreed. Sure, he muttered. I'll be home around 4. I arrived early. I parked down the street and waited. At 3:15, he left his apartment, dressed in designer sneakers and a leather jacket. He was laughing on the phone, sunglasses on, not a care in the world. He hopped into his car, not the beat-up Civic I remembered, but a new black BMW, and drove off. I didn't follow him. I let myself in with the spare key I still had. His place looked like a showroom, smart TVs, a marble bar, a wine rack stocked like he was preparing for a Netflix cooking show. There were no signs of medication, no syringes, no hospital paperwork, just luxury, chaos, and comfort. Then I found something. Tucked inside a drawer in his bedroom, beneath some random paperwork, was a folder labeled Project Cure. Inside were fake documents, an oncologist's note, lab results, even a stage photo of him in a hospital gown with an IV drip. The same photo he sent me when I asked for proof. But the background? It was clearly a prop room. You could see the folding chair behind the curtain. He had created a cancer diagnosis. He didn't just lie, he constructed it. My hands were shaking when I took the folder. I shoved it into my tote bag and walked out the door without looking back. Later that night, I sat in my apartment staring at the evidence, heart racing. I could go to the police, but what would they say? It was technically a gift. I could blast it on social media. But part of me wanted something better, something deeper. I didn't just want to expose him. I wanted him to feel everything he made me feel. And I knew exactly how to do it. I didn't sleep, not out of fear, but out of calculation. Revenge, the word hissed in my head like a flame. But this wasn't about pettiness. It wasn't about some dramatic confrontation in a parking lot. No, I wanted precision. I wanted him to fall, not because I pushed him, but because he tripped over the lies he'd built himself. I started by copying everything. Every forged document, every fake hospital note, every receipt, every social media post. I organized it all into a neat little file labeled The Truth. Then I booked an appointment with a lawyer, not to sue yet, but to understand what could be done. Unfortunately, the lawyer confirmed what I already feared. The money I gave him, without a contract or condition, was technically a gift. The only legal angle might be fraud, but proving intent in court would be a nightmare. Still, she raised an eyebrow. But this, she said, tapping on the fake medical records, is a felony if he showed it to anyone to gain money or sympathy, especially if he posted it publicly. That gave me something. I went digging into Adam's digital life. His Facebook was locked up, but not his girlfriend's. Lila, the one he sent thousands to, had zero filters. There it all was. Vacation selfies, couple pics, hashtags like Love Strong, Cancer Warrior, and best of all, a GoFundMe link. The campaign was titled Help Adam Fight Stage for Pancreatic Cancer. Any dollar helps. It had over $12,000 in donations. Now it wasn't just family money, it was public fraud. My hands trembled, but this time with a twisted satisfaction. He didn't just steal from me. He scammed dozens of strangers too. Real people, with real empathy, who thought they were saving someone's life. That night, I called him. "Hey," I said, sweet as syrup. "Can we meet tomorrow? I want to talk. I think I owe you an apology." He hesitated. Sure. Everything okay?" "Yeah," I lied. "Everything's finally starting to make sense." We met at our mother's favorite diner. He looked smug, like a man who thought he'd gotten away with it. He even ordered pancakes, like it was just another casual breakfast. "I really appreciate you meeting me," I said, placing a flash drive on the table between us. "What's this?" he asked. "Evidence." He froze. "Receipts, screenshots, your fake diagnosis, the GoFundMe, even your little beach trip with Lila." His face drained of color. I leaned in. "You didn't just lie to me, Adam. You lied to strangers. You committed fraud. And I've already spoken to a lawyer." He stammered, reaching for the flash drive. I slapped his hand away. "You don't get to control the narrative anymore." Then I smiled. "I haven't gone to the cops. Not yet. But I will. Unless you do exactly what I say." For the first time since Mom's funeral, I saw something real flicker in his eyes. Fear. And that was only the beginning. Adam was squirming, not visibly. He still had that thin veneer of cocky calm, but I could tell. His fingers tapped the table too fast. He blinked too often. His smile didn't reach his eyes. For the first time, he realized I wasn't the quiet little sister anymore. I leaned back in my chair, voice level. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to take down the GoFundMe, publicly, apologize. Say it was a misdiagnosis or a breakdown. I don't care how you spin it, but it ends today. He opened his mouth. I raised my hand. And you'll return every penny, starting with mine. He laughed, short, nervous. I don't have that kind of money, Rach. I stared at him. Then sell the BMW, the MacBook, that leather jacket, or ask Lila to refund your lies. Figure it out. He looked away. I dropped the last piece. If you don't, I send everything to the donors, GoFundMe support, and the local news. I'm sure they'll be fascinated. There it was again. Fear, pure and unfiltered. He agreed. Hesitantly. Begrudgingly. But he agreed. That night, I watched his GoFundMe disappear. The next day, a clumsy Facebook post went live. Hey everyone, just wanted to clarify some confusion. Turns out, my diagnosis was incorrect. I got overwhelmed and panicked. I'm truly sorry for any stress caused. It was a pathetic attempt. No real apology, no admittance, but it was a start, and I wasn't finished. I forwarded all evidence, anonymously, to GoFundMe's fraud team. To my surprise, they responded within days. The campaign was flagged, frozen, an investigation launched. A week later, I got a call from one of the donors, a woman named Trina, who'd given $500. She cried on the phone, not from anger, but from relief. I thought I was crazy, she said. He kept dodging updates, and I'm glad someone did something. That call shifted something in me. I wasn't just getting justice for myself. I was unearthing a deeper truth, that this wasn't just about family. This was about people like Trina, about every person who'd ever been manipulated by someone they trusted. But, of course, nothing stays clean in a family like mine. Word started getting out. Cousins called me, our aunt. Even a former teacher messaged me, asking if the story was true. Adam had told people I was unstable, that I'd gone on some revenge spiral after Mom died, that I was the liar. And for a moment, I questioned everything. Was it worth it? Was exposing him worth becoming the family pariah? Then I remembered the night he cried in my lap, how he looked me in the eye and told me he was dying. And I remembered how I believed him, how I ached for him, and how he spent that pain in a strip club with my inheritance. And I knew, yes, it was worth every damn second. But I wasn't done yet. Not until he stood in front of everyone who ever loved him and watched it all burn down. At first it was whispers, a few friends of his unfriending me on Facebook, cousins who stopped liking my posts, a text from our Uncle Jeff that just said, "Why would you do this to your own brother?" He flipped the narrative fast. Suddenly, I was the bitter sister. The one who couldn't handle grief, who snapped after Mom died, and decided to ruin her brother's life for attention. Adam posted cryptic messages like, "Some people will go to any lengths to feel powerful, even if it means turning on family." It worked. People rallied to him, the same people who had donated, who had cried, who had worn wristbands that said # fight for Adam. They wanted their hero to be innocent. They needed to believe in the version of him they helped build. I felt like I was watching the world tilt sideways. The liar was being protected. The truth-teller was being punished. And for a moment, just a moment, I considered walking away, letting him have the narrative, letting them believe whatever they wanted. Maybe it wasn't worth it. But then I remembered Trina's voice cracking on the phone. I remembered the $63,000 that could have built my future. And I remembered the ache in my chest the night I thought I was losing my brother to cancer. I wasn't walking away. Instead, I disappeared, strategically. I moved out of state, found a new job in a library in Montana. changed my number, made new accounts. I left behind the echo chamber that chose the villain because he smiled better than I screamed. It hurt like hell, but in that silence, I started breathing again. I started journaling everything. Not for revenge, for clarity, for record, for healing. Months passed. Then one day, I got an email. Subject line: "You were right." It was from Lila. She said Adam had drained her bank account, that the car wasn't even in his name, that he'd hit her emotionally, not physically, and that he'd finally left. She found the fake documents, the staged photos, the lies. "I'm sorry I ever doubted you," she wrote. "Do you want them?" Attached were scans of everything, even screenshots of Adam mocking the donors in private group chats, calling them idiots and easy money, laughing about how his own sister probably still cries when she hears the word chemo. I sat with that email for a long time. Then I opened a new browser tab and drafted a message to GoFundMe and the local news and every single donor I could find. It was time. No more backdoor warnings. No more gentle pressure. It was time for everyone to see him for what he was, even if I had to light the match myself. There's something terrifyingly quiet about the moment before a storm you know you're going to unleash. It's not anger that fills you, it's clarity. And clarity is colder than rage. I compiled every document, every screenshot, every quote from Lila's email. I paired them with timestamps from his old posts, donation records, the messages to donors, even the video of him dancing in a club the same day he told me he had chemo. Then I sent it all, in one massive email blast, to every person who ever donated to his campaign. With a simple subject line, "The truth about Adam's cancer story." I didn't include emotion, no long sob story, just facts, organized, precise, chilling. Within hours, I got dozens of replies. Some were furious, some were heartbroken. Some couldn't believe it until they clicked through the links themselves and saw him grinning at a beach party while supposedly fighting for his life. By the end of the week, it went viral. BuzzFeed picked it up. Then a local Portland news station. Headline: "Man accused of faking cancer for donations and family inheritance. Sister exposes elaborate scheme." Adam tried to fight it. He posted a frantic video, eyes wide, sweating, blaming me. Said I was mentally unstable, that I'd edited everything. But Lila posted too, and she didn't hold back. She posted voice memos, bank transfers, photos of his fake hospital setup, including behind-the-scenes shots of him laughing while posing in a gown. He said he was auditioning for reality TV, she wrote, but I knew it was more sinister. And just like that, the tides turned. People began asking the right questions. The donors contacted GoFundMe. A class action refund process started. His social media accounts were flooded with furious comments, some too brutal to repeat. Former friends ghosted him. Sponsors pulled out of side hustles. He was burned from the inside out, not by fire, but by truth. Then came the police. Not because I pushed them, but because someone forwarded the file to a district attorney. Fraud, misrepresentation, identity theft, financial abuse. I wasn't even in the room when they came for him. I got the news through a Reddit post. "Y'all remember the fake cancer guy? Dude just got arrested." It didn't feel triumphant. It felt silent. Like the ending of a storm that destroyed something so familiar, so close, that even surviving it left you hollow. People messaged me, thanked me. Some even offered to donate to me. I declined. This wasn't about money anymore. This was about restoring something deeper than a bank balance. This was about taking my story back. And for the first time in over a year, I felt like I had. The silence that followed was louder than the chaos ever was. No more messages, No more headlines, no more fires to put out, just stillness and the lingering scent of scorched trust. I went back to work, filed books, smiled at patrons, pretended like I hadn't just dismantled a human life. Even if that life was built on rot, people still whispered when they thought I wasn't listening. Some praised me, others pitied me. A few, I could feel it, still didn't know what to believe. It didn't matter, because I wasn't doing this for applause. I did it because I had to. But the strangest part wasn't what happened around me. It was what happened inside me. For the first time in months, I started sleeping through the night. I stopped double-checking my locks. I stopped flinching at the ping of a new email. I also cried, not because I was sad, but because I finally could. Because the numbness had lifted, and beneath it was grief, pure, aching grief. Not just for the money, not even for the betrayal, but for the brother I thought I had. The one who read comics with me under the covers, who made me laugh so hard I choked on soda, who told me he'd always protect me. I mourned that boy, because he was dead long before the lies began. One night I found an old birthday card from him, from when I turned 13. It said, "I know I'm annoying, but I'll always be on your team. Forever, no matter what." I stared at it for a long time, and I didn't rip it up. I put it back in the box. Because here's the hard truth. Love doesn't vanish just because trust dies. They live separately. They can coexist, painfully, awkwardly, like ghosts in the same room. I don't hate Adam, not fully. I think some part of me still hopes he'll change. That prison will break something ugly in him and awaken something better. But hope isn't the same as expectation, and forgiveness. That's not today's story. I started writing again, just little things, blog posts, journal entries, then an article, then an invitation to speak at a fundraiser, not for cancer, ironically, but for fraud awareness. I said yes. I walked into that room, palms sweaty, voice trembling, and told my story. Not as a victim, not as a hero, just as someone who survived something ridiculous and painful and real. And people clapped. Not because I exposed someone, but because I endured something most people would never talk about, and said it out loud. Afterward, a woman my age approached me, tears in her eyes. "My sister did something similar," she whispered. "Everyone called me cruel for calling her out." We hugged without saying another word. That was the moment I knew. The truth doesn't just break things, it also builds bridges between people who've been hurt the same way and thought they were alone. There's this belief that closure comes with answers, that once you know the truth, once the liar is exposed, the fraud arrested, the story told, the pain just vanishes. It doesn't. Closure isn't a door you slam shut. It's a decision you make, quietly, over and over, every single day. Do I let this define me, or do I define myself in spite of it? For a long time, I didn't know how to answer that. But now, I think I do. Adam's in a halfway house now. Last I heard, he's on probation, has to attend therapy, and is banned from fundraising platforms for life. I haven't spoken to him since the trial. He sent me a letter. I never opened it. Maybe one day I will, but not today. I walk past my old journals sometimes, the ones I filled in the months after Mom died. They're full of hope, hopes I placed in people who never deserved it. But they're also full of me, of the version of me that still believed in forgiveness, in family, in loyalty. And strangely, I don't resent her, because her belief, her love, her pain, they built the woman I am now. And this version of me, she's sharp, she's clear-eyed, and she doesn't hand over her trust to anyone who can fake a tear. Sometimes I still hear echoes of Adam's voice when I pass a comic book store or when someone calls me sis. But they're just that now, echoes. They don't hurt the way they used to. Because I've learned something invaluable. You don't have to get revenge to get peace. You just have to choose not to carry what broke you. Let it rot where it fell. Build something new where it used to live. The world won't hand you justice. You have to carve it out. Story by story, scar by scar, until it shapes something that resembles healing. That's what I've done. And maybe, just maybe, this story will help someone else do the same. So if you're listening, if someone ever turned your love into leverage, if they told a lie so cruel it made you question everything you ever believed, here's my final truth. You are not weak for trusting. You are not broken for hurting. And you are not alone. Sometimes survival isn't strength. It's simply choosing to keep your heart open, even after someone you love tried to break it in half.